All right. Hi, Varuni. Thank you so much for joining the session for today. As you know, this will be a short drive along interaction, right? But I would like to mention it that since you'll be driving in and it's raining also there, so your safety comes first. So, whatever we'll be discussing, it will be all about your experience with your current EV. uh, but please feel free to stop, pause, or let me know whenever I need to pause, like basis your condition while you're driving. And yeah, and then wherever your focus is compromised, so just let me know, we'll just take a break over there, right? So let's just get started. Before that, I wanted to let you know it's absolutely about your opinion. So feel free to express whatever you want to say, or whatever you have in your thoughts, right? So yeah, I think we can get started.
Okay,
I
awesome. Hi, Asmita. Thanks for that. And yeah, I'm ready to get started.
Amazing, amazing. I believe you're standing beside your EV that you'll be driving
Yes,
today,
I
right?
am.
Okay, great. It would be great if you can just quickly introduce that to
My
us, like
camera so you
what is
can look
it
at the
and
car as well.
sure.
It
Okay,
is
I'm just
a
gonna quickly flip
Tata
my camera
Punch
so you can look
EV.
at the car as
And
well.
yeah, is what
It
else
is
can I tell
a
you about the
Tata
car?
Punch EV.
And yeah, is what else can I tell you about the car?
Sure. And how long have you had it?
We've had it for about a year and a half now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how many cars do you have at your home?
We have three cars.
Three. Okay. All of them are EV, or what is it, a mix of
We
EV?
have two EVs and one petrol car.
Acha, ठीक है.
Yeah.
And for this one also, did you have a, let's say, an EV before, or was it a replacement car or additional car?
Uh, no, actually, the Punch EV was our first EV, and we essentially decided about a year and a half ago that it's probably best to start transitioning from petrol or diesel to electronic vehicles. So that was why we made that switch. So it replaced one of our older petrol cars, basically.
Got it, understood. And which one is the other one? The other EV?
The other EV is a Kia EV. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And the petrol one, which one is it?
The petrol one is a Toyota Tizer.
Acha, ठीक है. So you had a Kia already, so you wanted to go for a Tata. Like, I think your Tata Punch was already there, and then you wanted to go for a Kia. So
A second,
initially,
yeah, basically, we just wanted to replace another petrol car that we had. So we decided to get the Kia Clarence Clavis EV. I think that's the name of the car. Yeah.
okay, okay, got it. So fine then, let's get started. You can get into the car and then set us
Sure.
up.
Sure. Just give me 1 second since it's raining. I'm just going to quickly get in the car. I'm also going to take my earphones off
Yeah,
once
sure.
I'm in the car, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm,
Are you able to hear me now?
yes, loud and clear. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Cool. I'm just gonna place you in like a convenient spot. Just give me
Sure,
one
sure.
second. Not the most graceful sort of thing to do, but okay.
Yeah, this looks like a nice view. So yeah, all good.
Okay, awesome. And you can still hear
Yes,
me?
yes.
Okay, started. Cool. I'm gonna get started now. I'm just getting out of my house, so I'm driving.
Got it.
Okay, awesome. You can ask your
Sure,
questions now,
sure. So
Asmita.
since you're driving, I just wanted to know, how are you feeling right now while driving this EV?
It's a very, very smooth drive, I have to say. Especially because I've been driving since I think I was 19, which was like a hot minute ago. At this point, I've been driving for a while, and we've always driven petrol cars, more or less, more so than any diesel cars. And yeah, in my experience, EVs are honestly the smoothest drives out there, regardless of the type of car. So, if it's a sedan or an SUV or a hatchback, it doesn't really matter. EVs are pretty like smooth in that sense.
Got it. Since I assume that, are you do you also drive your Kia EV?
I I do. I mean, not as much. I drive the Punch more, but yeah, I do drive the Kia also
So
occasionally.
how is this experience compared to that, and what is good about Tata Punch over Kia?
Uh, what is honestly, I think I prefer the Kia for a number of reasons. I feel like part of the reason why we bought the Punch early on was because we really wanted to switch from a petrol car to an EV
Hmm.
as quickly as possible.
Hmm.
And us time pe, like when we were basically looking at buying a car, like the price was very important to us, like super important. And at the time, even 2ish years ago, in the Indian market, like all EVs were like really massive cars and really expensive cars.
Hmm.
So part of the reason why we bought the Punch, and then we bought the Kia. So we got the Kia after, like almost a year after we got the Punch. Because we first wanted to, I guess, like I said, the price was important, and we just wanted to test out an EV, and it fit our price range, and yeah. But in terms of the features and things like that, I think both cars are incredibly smooth as like in their driving.
Hmm.
Um, I prefer the Kia's user interface. I feel like it's a little more reliable in terms of EV में क्या होता है, like the most important thing, as is with a petrol car as well. You want to be able to check how much petrol you have in your car, right? So for EVs, it displays like a number that tells you how many kilometers are left per charge,
Right.
right? So I feel like if I'm being honest, I think I find the um, information provided and displayed in the Kia far more reliable than I do in the Punch.
Got it.
But what I like about the Punch is that it's a really smooth, small car. So it's like a mini. It's called a mini SUV,
Hmm.
and so it has all. I mean, well, not all, but some of the features of an SUV, and it's very compact. So I
Hmm.
can take it anywhere, and I can just go through traffic and things like that. So I do enjoy the Punch as well. To be fair,
Understood. Understood.
yeah.
And are there any kind of modes in your car which you frequently use versus that you don't even pay attention towards or like ignore?
So the Punch has three modes. There is the city mode, and there is the eco mode, and then there's the sport or the sports mode, I think it's called.
Hmm.
And sports mode essentially I don't use, to be honest. Maybe if we take the car on a highway or something, maybe then I'll use it, because
Mhm.
the for sports mode the pickup is really fast and it goes like twice as fast in terms of how much you're accelerating.
Got it.
So I don't usually use that mode in the city. And for the most part, the default mode of the car is the city drive, and so usme, like that's the mode that the car is in most of the time. And
Got
eco
it.
mode, basically, it regenerates more of the battery power on its own. And
Hmm.
I don't, I don't use that mode as such. So,
Got it. Got it. Understood. So, as of now, the route that you've taken, right? I just wanted to understand, is it a regular one or did you take anything else into consideration while going into this drive?
uh, it's not a regular route. We're just driving. I mean, I'm just driving around my colony essentially.
Mhm.
And yeah, in terms of anything that I've taken into consideration, for the session in particular, I guess I just wanted to drive in a place where there's not too much traffic, so that I can still like chat with you and not get and not
Hmm.
feel like scared or a bit unsafe, like while I'm talking and driving.
Got
So yeah, so I'm driving in like a more or less like in familiar territory because I know my colony and the roads and less traffic. So yeah, those are my considerations.
Understood. Understood. So, since you were mentioning a little about the battery consumption and all as well. So, generally before starting any trip, right? What are the things that you keep in mind before you start them
Um,
regarding the
I
car?
Yes, I hear you. I guess some of the things that I check is how much battery there is in the car, of course, and how many kilometers it's showing. this much battery charge will give me. So those are of course the biggest considerations before taking the car out. The other consideration is also checking the tires. So I don't
Yeah,
physically check the tires, but that information is displayed in the car
right.
on my dashboard. So if it says that the tires are okay, then awesome. Otherwise, punctures and all are a concern for me as well. Especially because as a woman myself, like I don't want to be in a situation where I need to rely like on other people's help in that sense. So I always check for that.
Got it.
And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Not
Sure.
really.
Sure. So, have you ever taken your EV, any of your EV, like in out for outside rides also? Maybe like out of city or like somewhere, like on in another state or somewhere like that. Long drives.
No, I have not done that yet. I will say though that like I live in like the north part of Delhi,
Hmm.
and I have some friends who live in Gurgaon. So I have taken the EV to Gurgaon. So if that counts as a long drive, because it's quite a few kilometers and it takes me about an hour and a half on average to get there.
Yeah.
I've done the Delhi Gurgaon trip. But the other thing that I wanted to point out, because I just remembered, based on your previous question, another consideration actually is if it's raining really heavily. Because
Mhm.
for whatever reason, now I don't actually, it's more of an assumption rather than like something that I've done proper research on. But in my head, I feel like an EV car is more likely to stall in pani, like in water, compared to a petrol or a diesel car. So I do try to take the petrol car out if it's raining like crazy.
Hmm.
Right now it's drizzling, it's fine. There's not a lot of water logging, so it's okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, that is also a consideration for me. Yeah.
Okay, understood. How about like the charger availability in the route? Is that something that you look for or like consider?
I mean, that's a good question, but to be honest, what I will say is that there aren't any charging stations. Like there are petrol stations, right? There are petrol pumps and all of that, gas stations essentially.
Mm.
Obviously, they are not like there are no, as such, to my knowledge, any sort of charging stations that are available, and which is also why I am hesitant to take the car for like longer drives.
Uh-huh.
I actually don't try to look it up online or like, I'm sure there are apps for this as well. I don't really use any of that because we have a charger at home and we charge it as regularly as we can. And and I stick to that basically. I have not, if your question is if I've ever really used like a public charging station, I haven't.
You haven't. All right. Since you have not really covered that amount of distance that may require charging in between. So that makes sense. Got it. And
Yeah.
let's say we are talking about charging, right? Generally, if you can just take me through your like charging routine, how like do you charge it, and then at what point do you feel like charging your car?
I think a lot of it depends on like plans for the next day. So, like, what I will say, one big sort of difference that I've noticed, right, as someone who's used petrol cars and EVs at this point, petrol cars, I don't fret or worry too much if like the petrol is not going to be enough, in that sense.
Hmm.
But with the EV, I do kind of worry about that. So we try to plan ahead in terms of our day and our schedule and things like that. And usually, then at night, we'll put the car on charging.
Hmm. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, depending on, like I said, the plan for the next day, because best to have more charge than less.
Got it.
And and I believe that the Punch as well as the Kia both offer this sort of system called auto cutoff. So what
Hmm.
that means is that once the car has reached 100% charge, it's going to automatically stop charging it. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And like at what percentage do you generally? I understand about the plans for the next day, but then at what percentage do you generally like start feeling alert and then feeling like you have to charge it? Is there any percentage in mind?
Uh, I would say like 30 to 40 even, and again, depending on where I'm going and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's when I start fretting a little bit. Because like I said, I'm not super, I don't trust the reliability of the punch in displaying the number of kilometers. But then
Oh,
you also have eco mode, right? So the car drives a bit slower, generates more. So I've never really used it, but yeah, that is an option.
got it, got it. And quickly about, like, since you've been like, driving this EV, I just wanted to understand, like, how reliable do you feel that this EV is for your regular journeys, or like, regular travel needs?
Um, I think for in-city driving, it is reliable, especially for shorter distances. I mean, like I said, I think if I can, like even the Delhi Gurgaon, what feels like a road trip, I would, if I can, I'll take the petrol car. I would
Hmm.
prefer not to take the EV. Uh, yeah. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So that you mentioned, like, it's also because of the like, certainly when it's like, the weather condition, if it's raining, then you would surely not take out your EV.
Yeah.
But is there any other reason that you would not consider your EV for, like, let's say, a journey from Delhi to Gurgaon?
No, I think it's just the long distance.
Hmm.
And like I said earlier, as a woman, I feel like safety is a concern for me.
Hmm.
So I don't want the car just kind of stopping in the middle of nowhere, right? So I feel like longer journeys are a little bit of a concern. Safety is a concern, and of course, if it's raining a lot, like that's also a concern. I would say those are my primary sort of concerns. Yeah, when deciding to take the EV or not take it. So
Understood. And like, since you're talking about, like, the car stopping in between, or like, creating any trouble, have you faced any sort of that in your past experience with it?
I have. I have. Yeah.
Please tell us more
So,
about
yeah, sure. I was parked outside my sister's house. In fact, it was the punch only, and I believe there was some 80. I mean, I don't remember the exact amount, but I believe there was 80-90% battery in the car. And for whatever reason, it was just not starting. Like I was trying to leave, and it was just not starting. So
that.
that was, like I said, it was kind of stressful. And I feel like because I've also had it happened like maybe twice, all of 2 or 3 times. But that has been enough for me to not kind of consider it for longer drives, right? Because, like I said, if I'm somewhere by myself, like, okay, this was my sister's house, so it's fine, like it's I can deal with it. But yeah,
Yeah.
if it's anywhere else, then I feel like safety is a concern. So
That makes sense. And how did that get resolved then?
we just kept trying to switch on the car and like make it move. So,
God.
I guess much like any other piece of tech, right? You kind of do the thing of switch it on and off and plug it in, unplug it, like just kind of
Hmm.
try to do it in that sense.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Got it. So now you have both Kia and Tata as a brand for EV with you, right? I
Yes.
wanted to understand with regards to, like, a brand support, or like, for service, or anything with regards to software, battery, anything that
Right.
you might have faced, or like,
Right.
you might have been promised to. Just wanted to know how much have they been able to fulfill on that?
Um, the Kia we've had for a shorter period of time, so I can't really speak to that. I think for the Punch, okay, I think the servicing is fine. I also believe that compared to, like, say, a petrol car, right? And this is
Hmm.
just kind of bit surface level knowledge, mostly because. Oh, wait, okay, I'm gonna have to stop responding for a minute, please.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, sorry about that. But huh. So I was saying servicing for an EV is
Hmm.
actually not that much, like compared to your petrol or your diesel cars, because there's not much to service. I think apart from like the brakes and the battery, and battery maybe servicing nahi lagti hai as such.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I think they've been able to deliver, but like I said at the top of this interview, also I feel like I am not the biggest fan of like the user interface of the Punch.
Yeah.
But there are certain guarantees, of course, like I feel like specifically with the battery, I think every company has their own sort of take on the situation. But there are
Hmm.
warranties. So there might be like a lifetime warranty, or there may be like a certain, like a 10-year warranty, or, something like that on the battery,
Hmm.
where they will replace it, no questions asked. Um,
Got.
we haven't gotten to that point yet where we've had to replace the battery, because apparently it's supposed to also last for a very long time.
Hmm.
So I can't really speak to the servicing as such, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah.
Got it. So for such warranties and guarantees, like, you as a consumer, how do you feel towards a brand when they offer such like, warranties?
I certainly feel like, especially in cases where it's not on a year by year basis. If they're doing it on like a lifetime basis, or even like a certain period of time, years,
Hmm.
like if it's 10 years, like I said,
Hmm.
I feel like I develop some amount of faith and trust
Hmm.
in the company, because in the company, because I feel like they are interested in kind of building a long term relationship with the customer, right?
Got it.
So yeah, that's
Got
what
it.
I would say.
Understood. So, since you've bought this EV, right? Initially, you may have, like, some some concerns in mind or doubts in mind, or you may have been, like, excited about few things, right? Versus the
Yeah.
time, like, now after 1 year, I just wanted to know, how has that changed, if it has?
Um, I okay as a driver, I feel like I was initially very, very. I mean, I think a lot of us don't like change, so it takes me a while to adjust. And because the driving style of a petrol car versus an EV is very different,
Yeah.
because the pickup is really fast and it goes zook and zoom, and so I've had to adjust my driving style a little bit.
Hmm.
But initially, I was super excited. I mean, there was resistance and hesitation, but once I sat in the car and drove it, and I
Hmm.
tried on the sports mode, I was like, okay, this is a really fast car. So that I really enjoyed, and a year on, I feel like I do miss driving my petrol car. I, as much as I can, I try to take an EV, right? Since we have that, we're lucky enough and privileged enough to have that option. Um, so I try to take the EV, but I miss driving my petrol car, because like the EV doesn't make any sound, like
Hmm.
any sound at all,
Hmm.
And not only is it like a personal preference that I like the revs of the engine going, like I said, zoom zoom, but beyond that, it's also kind of a little bit of a safety concern as I've noticed when I'm driving, because the EV is so quiet and silent that sometimes on the road, like other people are aware that the car is there, because it's so silent.
Right. Sorry, Varni, I think I missed you for about, like, the 30 seconds. It's okay. I think what we can do is, like, maybe you can stop somewhere, or you can go to your home and then park it, and then we can just cover 2 minutes of the session more. Oh, is that fine?
You, can you hear and see me now?
Yes, yes, I can. I think we can
Okay, awesome.
just.
I have already parked on the side. So, if there are any other questions, we can go through those now.
Got it, got it. So, I think I missed your voice in the last few 30 seconds of whatever you were answering. So, if you do, you want to cover that?
Uh, yeah, what was I telling you? Yeah, it's more of a, as a driver and someone who has been driving on Indian roads for a really long time. I was basically just saying that EVs are so silent that I feel like they can be a bit of a hazard, like on the road,
Hmm.
because people get kind of used to hearing like the sound of a vehicle as well, to be able to gauge, how to drive and what to do and whatever. So the EV is really silent in that sense. So I feel like that's a little bit of a hazard. But beyond that, I think that was basically what I was saying.
Got it. So, lastly, just wanted to understand from your experience, if you could change one thing about EV, right, as a like as a concept overall, what would be?
Uh, I think okay. There are two things here. One would public charging stations.
Hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you. It was just like fluctuating a bit, but
Huh.
then now.
So I was saying Okay, so I was saying that public charging stations, I would like for more of those, and if we could, I would really also appreciate it if the battery charging time could be sped up,
Hmm.
because especially when you're charging in public places, like you don't want to spend three hours kind of waiting for your battery to charge, right?
Yeah.
So that those are the two things I would say, like public infrastructure to support like EVs, charging time going down, and maybe adding some sound to the car so that like people know that the car is coming. So yeah, those would be my suggestions.
Understood. This just takes me back to one of the points that you mentioned. Like, generally when you charge your EV, so how long does it take right now?
For a 0 to 100 charge, it takes, I think, approximately for the punch, I want to say 4 to 5 hours.
So you want to cut that down, like, a little more, right? So,
I mean, a lot more, because like the experience so far of like having a petrol car, because that's all we all had up until a couple of years ago, was that you fill in the petrol and it quickly fills. Like it's a 15-minute job, max to max, right?
hmm.
So I would like to cut that time down by a lot if possible.
Got it. So one thing is this, and another, like, if you can just tell tell an EV brand to focus more on, what that be like in terms of features, like let's say range or like comfort, safety, service, price, post purchase, like service, anything about that.
Uh, like I said, price is going to be important. I think the battery charging time, regardless of brand, I think is a big ask
Hmm.
from me, from my end as like a customer consumer. And yeah, and like I think also uh, brands and different like automotive like companies kind of really do need to take cognizance of the user interface in particular, because we're more and more moving towards like a digital dashboard rather than an analog dashboard. So I really do think that they need to spend a lot of time kind of making sure that it's a good UI. So yeah.
Got it, got it. So last question towards from my end. So would you recommend an EV to someone like you, a consumer like you?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would recommend it. I actually would recommend it because I know that there are drawbacks and there are issues, of course, as there always are with any sort of purchase or whatever you buy. But I do think that it heavily brings down the price that and the money that you're spending on petrol and diesel. So I think that in itself is a really big bonus, very very big plus point. And yeah, for anyone who's kind of my age, maybe still trying to make it in this world, etc etc, then I think like not having to pay like thousands and thousands for petrol, like I think that's a big plus
Got
point. Yeah.
got it. Thank you so much, Varani. It was such a wonderful conversation with you, and then it was really insightful. Really appreciate your time. So thank you so much. I'm through with my questions.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Asmita. It was nice chatting with you.
Yep. All right. Have a great
Okay,
day.
bye bye. You too.